This world can't be trusted. People, feelings, relationships, everything is fake, everything is a scam. There is no truth in this world. Ye dunya, ye mehfil mere kaam ki nahi. Is that true? Hi, my name is Davinder Singh, also known as Tony, and today I'm going to talk about the truth in relationships from a different perspective. See, when we get disheartened because of some disappointment in a relationship, some heartbreak, some treason, then we start feeling this whole struggle in a relationship is really not worth it. Some of us become hermits, some of us just live life without being committed to anybody in relationship, and we say, it is not worth it, it's too tiring. And somebody actually asked me to discuss this Shabad, and they said, isn't it true? This is what Guru Sahib says in Gurbani also. Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. I want us to take a little moment. Let these words sink in. Let us sing these lines. Let us allow the Shabad's tune or the meanings to sink in us before we discuss its meanings. Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. अपने सुख ही स्यों सब लागे, क्या दारा क्या मीत जगत में झूठी देखी प्रीत, जगत में झूठी देखी प्रीत. Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. I have seen the love in this world, but it's all fake. Apne sukh hi syon sab lage. Everyone is inclined only to their happiness, only to what they need. Kya dara, kya meet. Be it a spouse or a friend or any person. When we hear these lines, a lot of us become disheartened, thinking that Guru Sahib is generalizing and saying all relationships are farce or scam, or they are ultimately not true. What is Guru Sahib trying to tell us is not only about other people, but he's trying to tell us, let us look into ourselves before we point a finger at somebody else. As an example, we have to understand that it is not that other people change towards us. We only look at these lines when we get disheartened and we get disappointed because somebody has cheated on us or left us or changed towards us. But actually what we don't look into is that we changed also. For example, I have to say that I was that little toddler once upon a time who was so attached to my mother. Once upon a time, my mother was the core universe of my existence. I needed her the most. My love for her was, I couldn't stay without her. And that's perhaps what I made her feel also. If she disappeared from my sight only for a moment, I would cry till she came and hugged me, embraced me, and carried me. Only then would I keep quiet. She was the one who fed me. She was the one who cared about me. But when I grew up a little bit, I didn't need her to carry me anymore. I wanted her to put me down. I wanted to walk on my own. I wanted to run. But I still needed her because she was the one who was holding me by my finger and guiding me what is right, what is wrong, where to go, where not to go. And then slowly my needs, my requirements changed. I now needed friends, I needed toys, I needed other people. She still was my universe. She still was somebody that I needed because she was an entity that was providing everything for me. She was my guide. And especially because she was the one who was able to provide everything. She was in between me and my father. And she was able to provide all the things that I needed. I confided in her. Then I grew up. My friends became more important to me. And then came a person in my life. She, or in many cases, a he, is more important. And that spouse, when somebody comes along in your life, you need their embrace, their touch. And so a mother's touch is not needed anymore. I changed. She must have felt very disappointed. Or maybe she was happy that because I grew up, I was going into a world of my needs, my requirements, my loves. Things changed, and she, as a mother, let go of me. She was happy that I was becoming independent. Who changed here? And I can go on and on. In every relationship that I have been dependent once upon a time, there came a point where I needed my growth, my independence. I still loved them, but I wasn't so dependent on them anymore. And at that time, I expected them to understand. But how come when somebody else changes towards me, I can't take it? Then I say, every relationship in this world comes to an end, people change. While saying this, I don't want you to use this as a justification if you are cheating on somebody or if you have abandoned somebody and you go and say to them, well, this is what Virju was saying and you should listen to this and say that this should be acceptable. Don't use any kind of philosophy to justify where you have changed, but also make them understand that yes, change is inevitable. We all have to understand the nature of relationships. As long as the other is not changing towards me, I'm fine. Whilst I'm changing towards everyone else in life. If I can accept that, I have to understand the reality of relationships and say, people do change. These things do happen. I'm not saying you have to change completely, become opposite to each other. But in relationships, in every relationship, there comes a point of adjustment, points of adjustments, where each and every person from physical, from mental, from spiritual aspect, we start telling the other person, well, I need a little more space and the other person needs also. And as they grow or we grow, then we come to a certain point of adjustment and say, this is the new change. And hopefully, we are able to adjust ourselves and make the other person as comfortable as we are. Especially when they find other interests which entice them more. And if they are able to, while being in a relationship with us, they need a little more space, then let's not call that as drifting away. Let's call that as adjustment. Maybe at that time we realize that the dependency that we had on them for our happiness, it has come to awaken us to the fact that actually our happiness is always inside us. That Guru Sahib, whenever he says, Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet, all the relationships in the world are somehow disappointing, is because we are hoping too much from them. And our hopes end up in disappointments because when the other person changes, we get disappointed without realizing that we also change. So when he says, Jhoothi dekhi preet, it's all about us. It's not about them. They are the ones who changed. No, it's we change also. So while that change happens, whenever we are taken aback in how can the other person change towards me? So perhaps that point of change is an important realization in our life. We need to start finding that relationship inside us. that ultimate relationship inside us, core of happiness, the godliness, the spirituality, God inside us. We start internalizing ourselves and realize that everything that we had hoped, it's all beautiful. Every relationship in this world is beautiful, but when it changes, we have to adjust along. But what we need to do is start internalizing again and start looking into the source of happiness which comes from within. Because we love them, we need them, and when we change, they have to adjust along with us. But it's the same thing. When they change, it's not about us. Let's not make it an ego thing. That if they change towards me, then it's all about how dare you change towards me? I am hurt because my ego is hurt. No. If I could let go of my mother's embrace and it was fine with her, then when other people change towards me because they need something else, I have to be generous enough to be able to say it's all right. And this will happen with my parents, with my friends, with my siblings, with my children, and also with my life partner. And maybe he or she will be able to find happiness in something that they're doing. And if I'm generous enough to be able to give them that breathing space, perhaps they will be able to see that I'm not suffocating them. And this is what I mean by they getting in touch with the godliness inside them, and I am at home with myself too. And this is the true relationship. 2 cups of tea put together, but each drinking from his and her perspective, his and her cups of tea. Both are joined together. They are together, but they are not suffocating each other. So let me say, the Shabad is Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. Apne sukh hi syon sab lage, kya dara, kya umeed. It doesn't mean the other person. It means me. Even I change. So when the change happens, accept it with folded hands and say, this is amazing. Because this has brought about for me to be able to breathe and reevaluate life and understand it from a different perspective. I need to learn how to adjust and give space for the other person to grow and flow along. And that's how relationships can become so beautiful and flourishing. We don't have to run away or abandon or become hermits. What we need to become are the hermits inside us and be jaise jal mein kamal niralam murgai naisane. You be the lotus in a pond and you still smile and be happy with what life brings about. And change is inevitable. You can't help it. It'll come about, but you adjust along with that. Thank you so much for listening. Ji, apologies for the mistakes. Gur Fateh, Sat Shri Akal, Salam, Namaste. Thank you so much. See you again.